So I kind of tired of playing my Necromancer and I wanted to play another class, and Reaver was pretty much one of my favorite classes of this game back in the day. I actually played a Reaver on Mordred, if anybody remembers that, a very long time ago. I think I played that guy up to like Realm Rank 6 or something like that, and then the server subsequently was shut down, merged into whatever the servers were at the time, and I didn't end up continuing playing that guy, but I really enjoyed playing on Mordred. I thought it was a really cool and unique server. If anybody doesn't remember what Mordred is, that was the open, like all three realms were open to everybody, and it was just open PvP, and it was more guild focused, like guild versus guild, and it was a great fun time. I really enjoyed it. Um, Okay, so we got Mulgrat Maggot here. This guy's been kind of terrorizing the noob yard for a while. He's even con to me, so I'm gonna give it a go. I don't see his like ads, so let's see if we can take him out. Maybe he'll drop something good. But the Reaver's a really interesting class. It's got flexible weapons, like they're like whips, I guess you could say, and it also has necromancer themed spells like life taps and dots and stuff like that. And it also has PvAOE effects that like reduce the target's effectiveness and does damage, and they're just a really versatile and fun class. Very much enjoy them, and a lot of their styles later on do like life tap procs, like Leviathan is one of the coolest things in any game ever. You attack from behind and you just do a massive amount of damage, and it's just really fun. I think it's called Indigo Snake. That's their from the side style. It does kind of the same thing but weaker. It's just a really fun class, and I'm really excited to level Erwin here up. I don't know if these guys are social, but I think we could take them all if they do. Yeah, so let's see what we can do here. Hopefully I don't die, because I am trying to play this character kind of like with a hardcore mindset, so we're gonna die if we stay, so we're gonna run. I didn't realize they would all come since they were gray, but they're linked together. Fortunately, mobs don't follow you forever in this game, so we should be fine with our little bit of distance here in front of them. Yep, so he's going back. They should all, yep, so we'll just rest up here a little. But it's been really fun. The first few levels of the character, level 1 to 5, didn't take too long, about 25 minutes or so. As I said in previous videos, it's really fun for me to iterate on characters and my progression. So level 1 to 2, pretty easy breezy, no problem. Level 3, I decided I'm gonna slow down and just fight greens for a long time, because level 3 is a pretty difficult level for when you're trying to become a Reaver, because you can't train, because you don't have access to flexible or soul rending yet. So like it wouldn't do you any good to train into like swords, right? So you kind of just need to grind it out. So we took advantage of level 3 by just killing green con humanoids as long as we could. The reason for that is because we ended up getting a full suit of armor out of it, because humanoids can drop equipment, which very much is needed for a melee class, and that's kind of our goal. We're going to be fighting as many humanoids as possible to try to get equipment. It's really important that we keep our gear going and progressing as we level up, because if we don't do that, for example, let's just say I just killed bears like the whole time, right? I wouldn't really have a gear that lets me like tank, right? And I would start to fall behind the power curve, and it just wouldn't. There would be a point where I couldn't play anymore, because anything I could kill is like gray, and I'm not able to get gear, and because gray cons don't drop any items. So it's something you got to kind of plan for as you progress here. But very quickly we got level 6. The character is very strong. So something that's interesting is, back in the day when I was a lot younger, I didn't really understand a lot of things about the game. And I remember back then I would just like spam styles all the time, right? Like in PvE. In PvP, like RVR, like it's a different story, right? Like you want to be using styles and stuff like that. But in PvE, when you're solo, like you really got to look at all your resources and know when to do what. It's very easy to just run out of endurance for no reason, like you're just spamming black snake here, and like yeah, you gain like 2 damage, but like if that's how you're playing, you're going to start to have a lot of downtime, and maybe you're not available to do, you know, King Snake here, which is after we parry. So I'm trying to just, you know, challenge the way I used to play this game and experiment a lot more and see if there's, you know, optimizations that could be made. And melee in this class, or in this game, is a lot more fun, I think, than spellcasters. Spellcasters are really cool. They're very powerful, but melee, like the way the style system works, I find it to be just fascinating, and it's a thing I like very much. Being able to just like see what the opponent is doing, like, you know, we parried their attack, now we can do this, is a really fun thing, and it keeps you engaged in the melee combat in a way that you know, other games may not. So here's a bandit. Let's just pull a bandit. Maybe we fight these guys for a while. I saw a purple com bandit leader, so we want to be mindful of him. But blue cons, you know, pretty easy. Take them down pretty quick. I'm pretty sure, you know, fighting yellow cons would be just fine. We wouldn't have much downtime or anything like that, but we want to try to minimize downtime as much as possible. It's one of the things, if you play on a server like Eden or whatever, you might look at the game from the perspective of, I'm going to fight the hardest possible thing that I can kill for the most XP, because the downtime's so, you know, so small that's, you know, that's what you should do. Like, that makes sense. That's a, you know, effective way to play. But in this game, we're looking more at things from an over time perspective, just being efficient and, you know, not having crazy downtime. Like, it's better to kill like 3 blues than like 1 orange, right? Because you'll get more technically out of it, and you're also like just playing the game more, which is always a good thing. Yeah, something that's interesting about this game is, you know, from a live perspective, they really started to focus more on, like, you know, RVR and PvP. I use the terms interchangeably, just if you don't know what RVR means. But you know, they really started to focus on this a lot more as progression of, you know, as time went on, right? Like, as they started to get further into the game's life cycle, they realized, like, oh, people like RVR more. That's the appeal of the game. But you know, personally, I think that was kind of a mistake. This game really does have really fun PvE, and I think in order to have like a competitive, like high level, you know, RVR PvP scene, like you need that casual base, and casual players really like PvE. They don't want to, like, you know, go out into some place and, you know, spend 30 minutes running out there and then die and then run back out and do it again, right? Like, that's not necessarily fun for them, but they still like the game. So the PvE has to be, you know, something that's entertaining and enjoyable and fun and a focus, right? And it was definitely de-emphasized as time went on, and then less people played. But something that's interesting is, like, that, you know, back in the day, I remember Mythic saying, like, you know, realm abilities, that's something that's going to be like nice to have but not useful, because, or, you know, it's not necessary, because the game's still, you know, a PvE kind of game, but you could still go out and PvP no matter what. And then eventually, you know, we know that wasn't true, and then TOA comes out and, like, oh yeah, TOA bonuses would be really nice to have, but you know, you don't need it, like, you know, and we all know how that went, right? But you know, I do think it's important that, like, casual players, like, aren't you know, just ignored, I guess you could say. Like, there are people who just love to log in and just grind mobs and work on trade skills and, you know, be a part of something. And you know, it's kind of lost to time. You know, you don't really have that casual player base playing this game because it's too difficult. Like, when you're talking about things like the RAs and the TOA stuff, like, nobody who is like a casual player wants to log into a game like this, and they're realm rank 1, they're just 50, and they go out and they just get obliterated by realm rank 11, and there's nothing they could have done. Like, there's no mechanical skill they really could have done. Their gear is too far behind, their RAs are too far behind, they stood no chance, and, like, that's not very fun for people. That's why a lot of people will say things like, oh, Dark Age, like, in order to actually be successful, what it needs is, like, seasons, like season resets, like every, you know, 3 or 4 months, like, everything just wipes and you start over. there is a lot of merit to that, because you know, a new player, they don't really have a good chance to engage with the game. Like, it's really hard to look at, like, just to look at the game and say, when can I start? Because you're so far behind that there's never a good answer. Like, the answer is now, and just do your best and grind it out and catch up, but you don't even know if the game's fun. So, like, you know, how do you actually engage with the game, right? Like, it's difficult. It's a difficult problem, especially on live, where you have, you know, you have that server where it's been running forever. Like, it's, you know, it's a continuation of the servers that came before, like, you know, Percival or whatever, like, you know, those merged into Ywain. But, you know, those things have been running since 2001, generally speaking, right? And it's really hard to then say, like, we're going to wipe these servers and, you know, start over so new players can engage. And one of the best examples, one of the best paths forward they could do would be to have a single server that is just season, like a season type thing, where everybody knows you play on this server, it's gonna last for 3 months or, you know, 6 months, whatever the case may be, and it's gonna wipe, and then you're gonna start over. If the expectation were set at the beginning, I think a lot of new players could give this a go, and you could have that population that the game really does need. You need the hardcore players, and you need the casual players who are kind of like me, who are just running around, you know, bashing bandits, right? Like, this is fun, and it contributes to the greater, you know, world of the realm, right? Like, because, you know, we're killing mobs, we're making money, we're salvaging items and making armor and spellcrafting and all that stuff, like, while other players are out doing PvP and trying to get, like, relics and stuff like that. And, like, it's a symbiosis that really does need a large population to work. And yeah, like I said, it's just really hard as a new player to be like, when can I re-engage with the game? And a lot of games these days have kind of figured that out. Like, if you want to engage with the game, like, with PvP, there's something that's really important. You need to know that if you're good, that your skill can overcome the other player, right? And in Dark Age, that's really not the case. I mean, it is to some degree. Like, if you're really good, you can do some crazy stuff and, you know, maybe kill like a realm rank 9 kind of thing and get a lot of RPs for it. But generally speaking, your gear's not good enough. You don't have reverse procs that you need. You don't have the activatables you need. You don't have the MLs that you need. You're just not really going to be able to beat somebody who has all those tools, because, like, high level PvP is a crazy deep thing in Dark Age, and it's just, yeah, it's just too hard. So that is a part of why I like Uthgard, though. I like the idea of it, of, you know, it's more simple. You don't have all those crazy things. Like, you don't have master levels. You don't have, like, the Zephyr. You don't have speed warps. You know, it's just the raw game as close as it can be. And I find that really entertaining and just fun to play. Oh, okay. Making sure I didn't aggro the bandit leader there, too. Just make sure we're safe. Yeah. I think we'll rest after this guy here. But yeah, like, another reason I like to play Uthgard so much is it's, you know, you just can't play this game, this version of the game, anywhere else. It just doesn't exist, right? Like, live doesn't have it. Like, this balance, this era of slow, grindy, and itemization and all that, like, live doesn't have it. Phoenix or Eden doesn't have it. Like, they're all sped up, right? Because people want to get to the PvP. It would just be a shame if it didn't exist, right? Like, this is a game and an era of a game that was just so important to me. You know, as a gamer myself, as a game developer, like, it's one of the most important things I've ever played. I don't know if it's nostalgia or just, you know, the right time in my life or whatever, but I have such a deep respect for Dark Age in this specific era, and it means so much to me, and I'm really glad that the people who made this keep it alive for us to enjoy. You know, we live in an era where, like, you know, data can be lost all the time. There are tons of games from back in the day that existed, you know, maybe online only, or, you know, download only or whatever, and, like, you literally can't get them anymore. You either can't find them whatsoever, or it's illegal to download them. And I just I think that's a shame. Like, I don't really think it should super be like that, and I think, you know, preserving things as they were back in the day is really important from a knowledge perspective. Like, we shouldn't just overwrite and erase things, you know, from how they used to be. Decent example is that there's a game called Black and White. It's like a god game where you control a creature, and it was really fun. I actually don't think you can legally find it anywhere. Like, it's not on Steam. It's not on the Epic Game Store. It's not here. It's not there. Like, you just really can't find it. And that's too bad, right? Like, why are we allowing things as they existed to, like, you know, just stop existing? I don't think that's cool, personally. So, you know, I'm here to, you know, show my support to the devs who made this game, to say, like, hey, I really appreciate what you're doing. I think preserving things, even if they're not popular, is really important. Because this game was a very important part of the history of MMOs, right? Like, coming out of EverQuest, this game solved, you know, quote unquote, solved a lot of problems that EverQuest had. Like, they looked at what EverQuest had, and they iterated on the you know, on the formula, and made it a little better. And then eventually WoW came and just, like, perfected everything, right? But Dark Age is definitely a very important, it's much more important, I think, than people give it credit for these days. They may not remember, like, how huge this game really was when it came out. Like, it was massive. I remember there were places giving it names like Better Quest, right? Instead of EverQuest, they called it Better Quest. And I thought that was always funny, because I really did enjoy EverQuest, but, like, the way this game felt to play compared to EverQuest, like, just the movement and the camera and the skill system, like, it was really far ahead of its time. So we'll just quickly kill a few more boars here and finish our level out. And then we're going to be 7, and we're going to have to head back to Camelot and train. And then I think we're going to need to find a relatively new place to hunt. We might see about leaving Camelot Hills and try to find a good undead area to fight. We really want to try to stick to skeletons if we can, because we're using a crush flexible weapon. And we'll get bonus damage to them. Compared to these guys, we're getting minus damage. And I'm pretty sure zombies are a little resistant to crush as well. Our spells will get bonus, but our weapon wouldn't. So we want to look for skeletons next time. So I think I'm going to wrap this one up here, guys. We just hit level 7. So hopefully I'll see you guys in the next one. Take care.